This is Building a Creative Life. I'm Pam Vale, a New England artist, bringing the world of creativity to your door through casual conversations with artists, creators, and everyday people, helping curious, midlife women begin their next creative chapter. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Today's conversation is one that I know you'll relate to, especially if you've ever felt like something in your creative life or even your personal life is quietly shifting. My guest, Leslie O'Leary, is an artist, teacher, yoga instructor, and life coach whose work beautifully blends art, mindfulness, and transformation. She creates soulful, figurative textile art from vintage kimono silks and teaches others how to find peace and purpose in change. We talk about transitions, the ones we choose and the ones that choose us. And Leslie shares what it's like to step away from 35 years of teaching, how she recognized it was time, and what she's learning through her next chapter of creativity and coaching. It's such an honest and insightful conversation. Be sure to stay tuned until the end, when I'll share a few personal reflections to help you recognize and navigate your own transitions too. Well, hello, Leslie. I am so glad that you're here, and I can't believe we get to talk twice in 1 week. That's so exciting to me. And
isn't that exciting?
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, obviously Leslie and I know each other, and we had a fabulous conversation at the beginning of my podcast, which was so exciting. And I'll definitely link that in the show notes. So for people that didn't watch that one, I would love it if you could tell a little bit about you. We have a really important, I think very important topic to talk about today, but I'd love to know a little bit about you and let them hear the wonderful things you do.
Yes, I am an artist, and I work in beautiful textiles that I collect. So most of them are vintage pieces, and I'm going to say a lot of Japanese vintage kimono, and then different silks, and I just started a new series that I'm working in a linen that has a golden thread woven through it, which is just beautiful. So any fabrics that, are exquisite to create like one-of-a-kind pieces I use. And I create figurative art, mostly women, and I'm going to say dolls, but they're not like dolls you play with. They're dolls that are art pieces that you would hang on a wall or as a sculptural piece. And I also have taught for probably 35 years. This is the transition. And I love art, and I love my students. There you go. And I also teach yoga, and then I'm also a life coach. So what else can I do? Yeah.
It's all like bringing like joy and love and beauty and positivity to the world.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And so today, we're going to talk about transitions, and it's interesting because I often resist change. Change does not come naturally to me, even though I'm an artist and I'm like free and like creative and expressive. I don't know. I buck up against it, and I really rebel until I finally give in. And so reading your recent post about some stages that you go through and how you navigate them, I was really interested to share that with other people because I feel like it's universal. And I feel like at these ages, when we're already going through so many like natural transitions and life transitions, this creative like reimagining or figuring ourselves out as different people now is I find really interesting, and I think a lot of people share, like really resonates with a lot of people. So I would love it if you could talk to us a little bit about this stuff that you've been going through, like maybe how it starts or how you navigate it, what you see and like how it affects your creativity and your life. Just that. That's
Well, I think it, with me and probably with a lot of other people, you just notice that something is off. You just feel a little edgy, maybe even a little cranky, fussy. Um, Things irk you a little bit more. And that's when I realized that, oh, something something is changing and it's probably me. And so when I start to notice that, what I wrote about in my latest posting was that I look at my husband, and my husband is a rugby coach, and he coaches at a university level, and so he is managing a lot of young men with different emotions and that type of thing. But he is the most grounded person I know, pretty much calm under fire type of person. And I was feeling, I knew this transition was coming on, and I was really kind of agitated, I'm going to say, because like you, I didn't want, I, can things just be simple? Can't I just like flow through life? And so I looked at him and I started to study him quietly, and I noticed that, he does one thing at a time. He like in my post I said, when he watches rugby, he watches rugby. When he's cooking, he cooks. When he reads, he reads. You guys get the idea. And I am more like, I'm reading, and then I jump over here, and then I sew for a while, and then I'm like, oh, that's on my mind, and then I go over here. And I really started to realize that it's in the simplicity, and if we can acknowledge where we're at first, like, I feel uneasy, I know something's happening, and just acknowledge it and know that it's okay. You don't have to fix it, and I'm a fixer, so you don't have to fix it. And then I started to look at what I was doing, and teaching was a big part of my transition. I've been teaching for 35 years. Like I said, I love my students. I mean, I adore my students. And been teaching online, and I I couldn't do it anymore. I just like I was finished, and it was a push for me to get these classes out. And um, I thought, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that I move on and do something different. And so I gave myself the grace to step out. It doesn't mean I have to step out permanently, but at least step away from it and then settle into that. And what I noticed is that I had such a great relief, just like a like a sigh. And when I let that one thing go, all of a sudden, like, some energy returned, and other interests that I had been pushing to the side. And I gave myself some breathing space. And in that breathing space, I was able to bring in another series of work, the Madonnas, which I would not have done. I would have, I would have finished one class, started on another, and just been on the treadmill kind of thing. And because that I was able to open myself, give myself a little bit of space, a little bit of grace, well, a lot of grace, and then this was able to come in.
It's funny. My
And
mom used to use this analogy, and she used it more with like dating for me, is that you're like a train station. And if you have a train in your train station, like, no new trains can come in. So you have to get the train out so that new trains can come in. And that's what I kept thinking about when you were talking about like making that space, and it's not easy to do, especially when it's something that's so tied to your identity. And
yes.
how was that with like your not only your professional identity of being an educator and a teacher and how you did it specifically, but personally too, like as an artist and like as that part that's what was part of your story. And now, at least for
Right.
right now, it's not.
Right. And initially, it was heartbreaking. I mean, it was like heartbreaking for me to give up. And, we don't want to, when something's heartbreaking, we want to hold on to it tighter. But I knew deep inside that it wasn't the right thing to do. So I really, in fact, I was so heartbroken that it's going to end up being a piece. I'm going to have to create an art piece out of that, and because that's how meaningful it was for me. And then it's kind of like the stages of grief. So heartbroken, and then I was really mad. I was like pissed off that that people didn't want to become master artists and give their whole life up to take my workshops and and which isn't realistic, but it's still an emotion, it's still something that and then I kind of came to my senses and kind of relaxed into it, and that's when I realized that, like you said, that the train had pulled out, and so I was able to say so long and open, and just have and know that I did my very best in all my workshops, and still, the heartbreak still holds on a little bit because 35 years devoted to this is you know um, half my life, so it was it's a
It's
big
significant.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the I don't know, like that sadness or I don't know, like did you have like once you made the decision, was it sort of effortless or did you have like struggle making the decision? Like how did that part of it happen?
I think that I'm a analyzer, a researcher, analyzer, overthinker personality. So by the time I make the decision, I have gone through 849 different steps in my head. Really breaking it out, like really spreading it out on the table and looking at all the different aspects of it. So by the time I came to that decision, it was comfortable for me. Like I said, heartbreaking, but
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it was the right decision to
You were just
do.
like walking through the door at that point. It was just
Yep,
the
yep.
the final stage of it. Um, so the I know you do a lot of like holistic practices and you have a very strong set of like rituals and things that you do in your yoga and your tea and things like that and even in your work. Do those things change now because of like this big life change or do you feel like they support the life change? Like how does that work? Like do you process things while you're doing yoga or
Um, I actually feel like understanding my practices that I do actually pushed me to make the decision. More than supported, helped discern my decision, because when you are clear personally, in your personal practices, when something is um, unclear, disruptive, it shows up. It shows up much bigger. You become much more aware of it. So I think having my morning rituals and having my yoga practice, even my kickboxing practice,
mm-hmm.
which is discipline, um, it I started to realize that I love doing these, and because I love that so much, am I love is it imbalance? Am I I love this, and is this supporting me? Like, is my teaching supporting me, um, and what I want to accomplish? And um, it ended up, and I don't want to sound, like poo poo or whatever, but it had run its course.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
am becoming a different person. I'm in transition. I'm becoming a different person. And, um, but I want to segue a little bit because I'm a born teacher. I can't help but teach. And so, I do teach yoga and I do teach art to people that have dementia and other yogic people too, gals like us. Um, and um, I also feel like now it's time for all these years and everything that I've gone through in life to be able to help probably other women through coaching to help them discern what's important for their life.
What an exciting new step for you. I think that you've always been doing it, but it's going to come through in a new like channel or
Yeah.
formation or something. I don't
Yes,
know.
yes, it will. Yeah, yeah. And I'm in the midst of taking a certification for a Japanese system called Ikigai, which is not to be confused with the American version. So there's different versions of it out there. So I'm studying more of the traditional Japanese everyday life and how to find joy in everyday life. So, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how your creative practice enters into that, because I'm sure that there are people that study that aren't artists or aren't creative daily or live, a creative, expressive lifestyle. So I think that brings like a really beautiful compliment. Like obviously I know you, so I know what it's going to bring to it, but I
Yeah.
think I don't know, I think you bring like another vision, like
Hmm.
different skills and tools. That's got to be exciting
Well,
for
and
you.
it's when I was looking at like how, because I support my family and I'm thinking, so I just gave up my big support system of teaching and art or doll making. And so I started looking at different ways of coaching. And as you know, I've studied the Japanese culture for over 25 years, especially in symbolism and their aesthetics. And then I happened upon the Ikigai coaching and I went, well, that's a fit. I mean, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? And so much of this is will be such a beautiful, smooth transition because I've already studied it for 25 years, and now
Hmm.
it's just putting it into a format and getting certified so that I can give an entire package to
Mm,
somebody.
so different.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
know in your post, and probably like I would assume that this will like inform that practice, is your personal experience with your cycles, like your 7 year I think it was seven
Oh,
years. Was it
yes.
7 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I would love it if you could just talk a little bit about like, did you always realize that, or like when did you know that was sort of like your natural flow?
I didn't really realize it till maybe I'm going to say about 14 years ago, and I started to look back over my life, and I started to realize that there were these really specific things that happened in my life. And so then I started to figure out how old I was. I did the analysis of it, and I'm like, that's every 7 years. That's, and I can tell like what each one of those was at that time. And, you know, like in my post, I said I'm at um, number 9.472, whatever it is, you know. Um, but I'm I when I was 60, I got remarried. I I became a yoga instructor, and then I did life coaching, and there was a few other things that I did and certifications. And now I'm 67, going on 68, coming around the corner, and and I'm like, oh, it's here again. There it is. But I feel this time I can go through it a little bit more smoothly than some of, especially when I was younger, they were very disruptive. And now it's not really a disruption as it is that I'm starting to realize that it's an opening. It's such a great opening for the new whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's a gift when you can look at it that way and not as not resisting, looking at it as an opportunity.
Right, right. Yeah, and just and also for my personality, being the control freak that I am, for everything is just right. I have found that I am able this time to like let it happen, like just let it, because I should be freaking out that I don't have an income coming in right now, but I'm like, it'll happen. I know it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen.
And
So
that having that faith is so important. Do you feel like this
yes.
new like I love stages of learning, and like with you doing the certification training, do you feel like that is creatively refueling to you as well? Like, does it give you ideas for other creative outlets, or are you seeing different sides of yourself through it?
I feel like I love words and I love thought process, and I think just in words and in the way you think, the way you perceive, is a creative endeavor in itself. And so when I'm reading these things, I'm like, um, it I'm reading the philosophy, but I'm absorbing the philosophy. And as it's absorbed somatically into my body, if you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that can't help but come out through my work. And I do notice that the last few pieces that I've done have been I'm going to say more gentle. I'm not pushing so much to get things done. I'm letting things happen, which is really cool because if you can release control and let things happen, then that's when the real beauty and the real inspiration can
And
step in.
peace. And like there's like a different kind
Yes,
of peace as the creator, I think.
yes, definitely, yeah, and then I think that if people can do that, life is just easier. Then it just everything becomes easier, and like you said, just so much more peaceful. Yeah.
Definitely. Do you have some guidance or tips for people that might be listening of like how to accept things or how to
Yes.
navigate
Like
this?
yes, gentle practices for transition, and I have my list here so I can read them to you.
Oh, awesome. I would love
The
that.
yes, and I'll send you a copy, and then you can give it to your readers so
Oh,
that they can do it too.
that's so generous. I will link
Yes,
all of your information in the show notes,
yes,
and I will put the PDF there too. Thank you so much.
yes, 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 absolutely. So, first off is name where you are. Kind of like what I was saying about like write a few words. I didn't used to be a journaler. I just, but now I'm a journal. I don't do it all the time, but if I really need to work something out, I journal about it. So getting it out and writing it, not typing it, but actually writing it with a pencil or pen or, marker, whatever. And I think I might be in a transition because, and then just write it, just whatever. It doesn't
And it might not
matter.
have to
Just
do with the transition, whatever you're writing. It might be showing up,
write.
like you
It just
said,
be
being like fussy or like irritated or
right.
short. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you just you feel something is off. It's just not sitting. Like, what is it? And you can't figure it out. Write it down. Just write whatever comes to your head. And then number two is let one thing end. Like even tiny things, this is an example I can give you is I started doing, I do yoga, I teach yoga, but I also go to yoga practices. And there's a teacher that I like, and her classes are on Friday mornings at 6 a.m. And I'm up already, but I'm not really functioning. And so I'm like, I'm up, just get up and go and just see. And today's a perfect example because I went this morning and I wake up and I give myself about a half an hour to have a little bite of something, cup of tea, change my clothes, get ready and drive over there. And as I'm driving over, I'm like, I'm not awake. And even in the first 10 minutes of class, I'm like, don't talk to me yet. I'm not awake. But by the time I walk out, I feel like that was so fabulous. Life is so beautiful. Everything's so lovely. So let one thing end. I let my little bit of sleep time end. Like just get up and just go do it.
Great advice on so many levels.
Yes, like take action on it. And number three is practice one thing at a time. So the cue off of my husband, Sean, is, and see, he's not like a big yoga person or anything, but he's so far ahead of me on all this stuff, and I've studied all this, but he understands mindfulness and doing one thing at a time. So, like in the morning when I'm drinking my tea, that's what I'm doing. I'm drinking my tea. So, and if you just do one thing per day, you don't have to turn your whole life into it, but just, when you're eating your meal, like stop looking at your phone, stop reading, just like eat your meal. Just do one thing at a time and just
I think
pick one thing out of your day.
Yeah, it comes natural to some people, and I've never really I read about writing about. I read the thing about Sean, and then, but I never until you started talking about it, kind of made the connection between him and Steve. And for those who don't know, Steve is my husband, and it's a very similar thing. Like if he's watching TV, he's watching TV, or if he's watching a football game, he's just watching the football game. He's not on his iPad. He's not drawing. He's not knitting. He's not looking at other things or making notes like I am, And I never really thought about that. But even cooking or, I don't know, it's a different way of thinking or moving through the world. But it's good.
Well, and I think in today's world we're so used to multitasking everything. We I mean that's the norm. And if we can just take a step
and it's
back,
an expectation.
Then we're giving ourselves more space.
Yeah, it's not even the norm. It's expected.
Yes. And all it's doing is making us more confused.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yes. And then number 4, ask this each morning. What is one small thing I can do today to support the person I'm becoming? So, and not the person I've been. So, my example, going back, was picking up another yoga practice during the week. Well, the only time I can do it is Friday mornings at 6 a.m. That's my open time. So I'm going to go do it because it supports what I want to do. It supports me becoming who I want to become.
And we have a choice in that. We have
absolutely
a responsibility and, ownership over that.
Right, because it is our life, and we forget that, and we think that, if I just blow this up, and that, that was kind of backtracking to when I was driving home this morning, and the sky was bluer, and the birds were singing louder, and, everything is so wonderful, and it just, it's a tiny thing, but it just, it like helped the whole rest of my day. So
Mm,
it's
right.
just,
So it's not tiny.
one small thing for yourself. Yep, definitely. Oh yeah, and then number 5 is, and I wrote about this too, is make room both for stillness and movement.
Mm.
Um, and that is, I wrote about stillness in the fact that I had been at an event and I felt something was off because I'm in transition. So, something was off. And so I just became still and I just kind of stilled my way through the whole thing, more observing what I was feeling and not reacting or um, just kind of sitting through it. And then when it was finished, I realized that, this just isn't a fit. And so then that's when I could bring more movement. So I find I find for me clarity comes like in my yoga practice. And it's not that during yoga I'm even thinking about these things because I'm concentrating on breath and what position to do next, which is the beauty of yoga. And but then after you're finished, you've cleansed your body of that energy, and so you can then see, you can, like I said, the word discern. You can discern that, oh, that, you know what, that isn't working for me, and there's no anger or malintent in it. It's just not a fit right now.
Right.
So
And there's definitely
so
clarity,
stillness
like
and
such,
movement.
yeah,
Yes.
like clarity that comes. I get that when I go for my walks, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it's the same thing. It doesn't, I don't necessarily have to be thinking of whatever it is at that moment, but there's something, I don't know. I am like spoken to a lot, you know,
Yes,
internally.
yes, definitely. I find that on walks too. And
Yeah.
I know on my walk that I've reached where I should be when I get out of my head. Because, the first, like, it takes me an hour. The first, like, half an hour, I'm like all in my head and thinking about everything and stuff.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, look, there's a cloud in the sky and it looks like a feather. I wonder what that means. And I'm like, now I'm
Yeah.
out of my head and I'm able to like hear the birds and see the leaves and you know,
Hmm.
um, enjoy it. Um,
Absolutely.
and um, and then number 6 is the
Yep.
biggest thing I think is stay kind to yourself.
Mm.
Especially as women, we're
Mm.
so hard on ourselves and to be all and do all and um, I don't know why we're doing that to ourselves. I mean,
Mm.
and I am totally that person, that I
Hmm.
will do everything and do it all and be the best at whatever it is. But it's like give yourself some grace, like give yourself some kindness, and realize that you're human, and you know like if you came to me with something and I answered you or tried to help you, I would do it in a supportive, kind manner. So if we can do that to ourselves,
Yes.
you know, that because
Yeah.
we're it so think of yourself as your friend and try to talk to yourself as a friend.
I love that. I'm personally doing a lot of work around like self compassion lately. And
Yes.
it was recommended to me recently. I actually just talked about this on another podcast episode. So it's definitely circling me, but that it was recommended that I go back and listen to the first couple chapters of The Untethered Soul. And
Oh yeah.
it talks a lot about like your inner dialogue and your inner roommate and the voice in our head. And yeah, I would never say the things that I say to myself to someone
I
I love,
know.
And it's
I
like you forget
know.
that.
I know. It is.
Definitely.
And, I just read this morning, I read a book by Mark Nepo, Awakening, and um, it's funny that he just spoke about it this morning, or I read about it this morning, and he talked about the salmon and how it swims, up against the current. And what the salmon does is it actually turns its body sideways towards the current, so the current will pop it up into the air, and then the salmon can move arc forward into it, and then it turns its body sideways, and then so it's taking the full brunt of it enough that it pushes it up and moves it forward. And I thought, oh, that is such a great analogy for transition, because you do feel like you're running in
Mm-hmm.
right into a brick wall. I mean, it like thuds you. And and if we can take that analogy and you know take these practices that I'll give to everybody, and just like you know be at it, like be at the door, be at the brick wall, be at the confrontation of it, and then let it throw you up in the air and see where you go.
That's beautiful. Beautiful visual. It's very visceral. It's,
Yeah.
definitely something to think about in these times of transition. And I know I talk a lot about creativity and creative expression on this podcast, and it all goes together. Like it all is part of that flow of like
Hmm.
self-awareness and kindness to yourself and all of these traits, and we don't stay stagnant. We have to
Right.
grow.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's the big message here, is that transitions, even though they're very, very difficult, it it is for your betterment, and it is for your a happier, more joyful, more creative life. And
Definitely.
so bring it on.
Well, is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't already talk about? I love this
I
topic.
th- yeah, no, I think it's good. I think we've said everything that needs to be said for people. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, and we'll see where everything goes with all of
Yeah.
us that are in
Yeah.
transition. Yeah,
And I can't wait to see
definitely.
what happens with your new certifications and how
Yeah.
your creative expression is going to show up in the next, near future.
Yes. Yes,
We don't know.
definitely.
But I will
Yes.
definitely I'll put all your
Yeah.
contact information so people can follow along and
Great.
then
Yeah.
partake of your goodness.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
thank you
Yes.
for the PDF too. I love that.
Absolutely. I hope it helps people. I actually think it will, because, I feel like, a lot of times we are kind of thrown out there like the salmon into the chaos of the waters. And if we can just get like a little bit of a guideline,
Mhm.
that at least gives us something to anchor on to. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, thank
yeah.
you, Leslie. I'm so happy we got to talk again.
Yes, absolutely. Me too. I always love it.
I
Yeah.
know, me too. I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
I think what I love most about this conversation with Leslie is how it reminds us that change isn't something to fix, it's something to witness. When she talked about the signs that a transition was beginning, the restlessness, the little irritations, the tug of unease, I recognized that feeling immediately. I think we all do. It's that quiet inner nudge that something in our life no longer fits quite right, and it's so easy to resist it, especially for those of us who have spent decades building a creative identity, a teaching career, a family rhythm, or any kind of structure that once worked beautifully. Letting go feels like loss. But as Leslie said, there's real beauty in endings. When we clear space, the next creative chapter has room to unfold. It made me think about how creativity itself works. It's cyclical, it's seasonal, it's alive. There are times for growth and times for quiet. times to expand, and times to release. The trick is trusting that nothing essential is ever really lost. It's just transforming. So if you're listening and you're feeling like something in your world is shifting, here's a gentle invitation. Instead of rushing to fix it or define it, just notice it. Maybe write about it, walk with it, or sit still long enough to hear what it's trying to tell you. Because sometimes the most creative thing we can do isn't to make something new, but to make space for what's next. Thank you for listening. You can find all of Leslie's links and her gentle practices for navigating transition in the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need a little reminder that change can be beautiful too. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for free and share it with a friend. It helps others find the show and grows our community. Remember, creativity is yours to define, there are no rules, and it's never too late. Until next time.